Alright, here we've got a diagram of a human, and here are the centers in the middle and also the channels connecting to some of the centers, and here in the middle around the belly we have a line to differentiate positive and negative, or yin and yang, and we also have a cycle which is going up and then down. Now, one of the main things I wanted to cover is that depending on the energetic influence of your energy will depend on whether your energy is going upwards or downwards. We see this cycle here, up and down. Now during the day, usually it goes upwards. So you have the idea of the Kundalini, which is within the spine. You have power, supposedly. They say that the root chakra at the spine, a better actual idea, or better maybe thing of the root chakra, you can say the anus, the perineum, and the tailbone. These are all three areas of the actual root chakra, so to speak. And then we have the spine, and it finally connects to the brain. And what is happening is that this root chakra center at the spine, and of course the spine is the nervous system area of the chakra. The chakra also has a spiritual center, so like a ghost spectral center, and it also has a physical organ. For example, the heart center is a heart organ. The belly center is the intestines, the sacral is the bladder, etc. The root is either the prostate or the womb, I believe. Throat is, I'm actually not sure. I don't know much about throat anatomy. Somewhere in the throat, I looked that up. The third eye is that kind of that area in the middle of the brain, and then the crown is the I don't know if it's called cerebrum or cerebellum. I know there's one here which is called either cerebrum or cerebellum, which is actually a center there. But anyway, so now we know they have a organ or gland or something like that, some kind of physical matter. So an organ, we just call it that. They also have a spiritual center, so that's kind of more above, which you can see if you kind of stimulate your mind enough, you get energy sight. And they also have a nervous system connection, and you can look at that anatomically. The idea is that the main idea of this talk is a Kundalini arising, which basically is the nervous system energy rising to the head. Now, how this is done is actually through tension. In yoga, they have the three bandhas, which are the three locks, which are three muscular kind of tension points. Which is, the first one is around the perineum, the lowest, the pelvic floor region. Second one, technically there's one in the belly, and there's also one in around the lower rib region. If you pull in the rib, pull up the rib diaphragm, and also there is a tongue touching the roof of the mouth. Now, I don't recommend you do these things. Essentially what you're doing is you're tensing the body and you're drawing all the energy up to the top. See this little, it's like a berry, this little point here. What happens is that it gets very stimulated, and same with the upper head center, and again a form of enlightenment. Now that's nice, but it doesn't really help you through daily life. Now, this is actually what we do during the nighttime. So you can experiment with this. There's nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is that during your daily life, when you have to walk around and lift things and think about things, chances are you don't really want this center hyperactive and the lower centers underactive. Because if you have lower centers which are underactive, you'll have bad stamina and bad digestion and all that kind of stuff. not very good stuff happening down there. Just keep in mind with that. So I did say during the day it actually goes up, and it kind of does, but when you go to sleep, it actually pulls completely up. Well, actually, it goes from up to down to up. It's kind of like a cycle, yeah? It's up and down. You can think of crown chakra, root chakra, crown, root. From the spine, up and down and up and down. So the main thing I want to try to drill into your head is that you don't have to think that you have to do Kundalini practices. You can try them out and see what it does, but it's just that once you go up, you have to eventually go down. Or you have to eventually develop your spine, your root center and lower centers. So I hope you got the basic idea, is that energy goes up and down. Now, internal alchemy. I did say that these have organs corresponding to them. Each organ usually has its own kind of fluid or some kind of substance. The liver has bile, for example. The gallbladder has gallstones and its own kind of bile. The heart has blood. The brain has a kind of fluid. The bladder has urine. The guts have their own kind of gut mucus, but also food. And the sexual centers have their own kind of sexual fluid. So, what actually happens is that, I'm going to draw a little person, I'm going to draw two people here, give you a pictorial explanation of what it actually feels like if you're like really sensitive, or you're really kind of like meditating for a while. If you meditate for ages and ages, you get like intense inner visual, like imaginary sight, and also intense feeling. I don't recommend it, but if you ever do that, just be prepared. It's kind of like if you don't sleep for a long time, you start you have really good imagination. So it feels like there's a bunch of upward triangles or upward pushing force, like it's from the kidneys. The kidneys are the main drivers up and down, you think. So you got all these little triangles. Of course you don't have actual triangles. What I'm trying to say is that you got all this upward pushing force in the body. So this is yang. This happy person is yang. A yang person is going to have a more developed mind and upper body. A yin person is going to have a more developed lower body. They're going to have a bigger belly, bigger legs. Similarly, the yang person is going to have a bigger upper body. You can see it's going downwards. Now, depending on who you are is going to depend on if you're more of a yang or a yin person. If you're more of a negative or positive person. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with either. At least when I learned spirituality, everyone was all about yang. Everyone was all about doing the locks, tensing the body, tensing the perineum, tensing the belly, and doing their pulling upwards continuously. Personally, I don't think that's incredibly healthy. We're in a very yin period now, so it's a bit better to be more yin. So instead, you relax the belly, you open it, and breathe through it. You relax the genital region, relax your butthole, and allow the energy, the Kundalini, to drain down and into the spine. Of course, doing this too much is going to make you depressed. So you've got to kind of find your own balance in your own area. So anyway, as I said, organs. And organs have their own kind of fluid. Fluid. Could be a thick fluid, could be a thin fluid, it could be a fluid. In this case, could even be some kind of gaseous spiritual thing. Well, actually, not really. Everything does have its own gaseous spiritual substance. But this kind of weird, I'm going to say, but it is actually true, and I'll tell you some ways to prove it. But depending on if you are yin or yang if your energy is yin or yang, depend what fluids, how the fluids move. and they transmute up or down. So the blood is going to move up. So these are like converters of energy. So essentially, sexual fluid converts into water or urine. Water converts into digestive, I think, acids or something like that. Digestive acids convert into blood, or whatever, something around this digestive region. Could be liver energy, could be stomach energy. The liver and stomach, they all have their. Now this is if it's going up. So do note that. And the heart blood converts to the throat, which is more like, it becomes more etheric. It becomes a thinner, more energetic substance. That then converts to the head fluid, brain fluid, and then to the crown, the absolute top. Now this is, if you know about the idea of raising the oil, this is kind of what it is. Raising brain fluid, but it's also raising organs, raising organ energy. You can think about it just, earth, water, air, fire, etc. Rarefying it until it becomes ether, which is the circle, represented by the circle, and then into like nothingness. Now the opposite is if it goes down. And I'll get to how you can kind of understand this and prove this. The brain fluid transmits downwards if you are yin. And as I said, a lot of people in the spiritual community, they're more of a yang spirituality, so they don't like this stuff. It's hard to find information on it. But the idea of the oil lowering into the body, this is actually how you nourish the bones. And the bone, muscle, and muscle. So bones yin, muscle is yang. So the energy goes from the bones to the muscle. If you're more yang, it'll go to the muscle. So it converts down to blood. Blood converts into digestive juices and digestive, fluids. Converts into urine, and that converts into sexual fluid, and then sexual fluid converts into bone. Might sound strange, but that's at least what it feels like. So this is literal internal alchemy. Now, of course, I might have some bits incorrect, but it's basically, how it feels and how it seems to work. And if you have a problem at one of these points, one of these chakras, you will get a bloating of the chakra. Or if you're trying to do yang meditation, you'll get a blocking of it. If you have problems at the digestive center, your guts will always be bloated and you won't be able to eat because you'll feel all blocked up. You might feel like you need to take like digestive medication or something. Similarly, if you have a problem with the sacral chakra, you'll always need to pee, or you'll have pain or whatever. Now when you sleep, it goes down. So what happens is that the fluids go down, the matter goes into the bone, but the consciousness goes into the crown. So it's kind of like the organ area goes down and the electrical stuff goes up into the high point of the brain. So the inner goes up and the outer goes down. Well, I guess during the day the outer goes up, so it goes from bone to muscle, and maybe the inner goes down to the root, because we're locked in physical reality during the days. Oh man, a tiger's gonna eat you, or whatever the modern equivalent of a tiger. So if you understand this stuff, that's how you can kind of fix internal blockages and excesses. If you're always feeling like your throat's full, then open it up and open up the centers around it. So flow the excess energy into the head and lower down. If the bladder's always full, open up the excess centers. If you focus on the root, the anus of the body, you actually don't need to pee as much. Like you can essentially not pee at all. I know that sounds really weird, and I'm not talking like you're trying to force it or hold it. Like literally, you just drink water, and if you have a really open root chakra, you just and your yin nature, you have yin energy, you just don't need to pee because you're converting all the water. Don't think of it as piss. Think of it as water. You're converting all the water downwards. And this is, as I said, what happens during sleep, is that the actual fluids, the digestion happens, the digestion goes down, the blood goes into the bones, into the body, the deep areas, so all the nutrients are going down, they're converting to that thing, that water, that sexual fluid, the ojas, the jing. Essentially, it's sexual fluid. For men, it's seminal fluid. Sperm for women, it's womb fluid, and this is what builds. Then this is what kind of corresponds to the bones. It also relates meridian wise, so it's not just that you have that fluid and then things work, but it also relates to the meridian. Anyway, I hope that was good. Comment down below if you want, or check out the email if you need to contact me. Otherwise, check the commercial links if you want to buy books, services, albums, any other kind of digital products that I got. I hope that helps you out and that you've enjoyed this video.